My last video that I made over Quentin Tarantino, I essentially said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the greatest movie he's ever made. In this video, I'm going to be challenging that thought because I just recently watched The Hateful Eight. This movie, man, talk about nostalgia and just great experience of watching a film. Quentin Tarantino is well known for his dialogues within his movies. I feel like in this movie, he just went to a different level. Reservoir Dogs was one of my favorite, but The Hateful Eight takes that to a different level. Overall, The Hateful Eight is a film that demands the viewer's attention and rewards them with a tense and thought-provoking experience. It's a film that showcases the talents of its director and cast, and is not to be missed by fans of the Western genre and Quentin Tarantino's work. The Hateful Eight is a 2015 American Western film written and directed by Quentin. Set in post-Civil War Wyoming, the film follows a group of 8 strangers who seek refuge from a blizzard in a stagecoach stopover called Minnie's haberdashery. As tensions rise and secrets are revealed, the group becomes embroiled in a plot of deception and betrayal. The film features an ensemble cast including Samuel L. Jackson, Kurt Russell, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Tim Roth. The performances of the cast have been widely praised, with particular attention given to Leigh's portrayal of Daisy Domergue, a criminal being transported to Red Rock for hanging. Listen, like when I watched this movie, the thing is with Quentin, like I always have high expectations, and having watched a lot of movies that came out in 22, I was very disappointed. But with this one, I'm telling you guys, you have to watch it. If you haven't watched it, you have to watch it. So right now I'll break down what the plot was. So in 1987, bounty hunter and African-American Union veteran Major Marquis Warren is heading to Red Rock, Wyoming with 3 bounty corpses. His horses give out and is faced by an incoming blizzard. Warren hitches a ride on a stagecoach driven by O.B. Jackson. Aboard is a bounty hunter, John Ruth, handcuffed to fugitive crazy Daisy Domergue, whom he is taking to Red Rock to be hanged. Ruth and Warren had previously bonded over Warren's personal letter from Abraham Lincoln. Lost causer Chris Mannix, who claims to be Red Rock's new sheriff, also joins them during the trip. Ruth learns about the Confederate bounty on Warren's head for breaking out of and setting fire to a prisoner of war camp. You know, this part of the plot line when I was watching the movie, when Chris Mannix shows up, like I didn't believe that he was a sheriff. Like the guy just looks sketchy, and this is the thing that happens with a lot of movies. You know, as an actor, if you're constantly acting as a villain and then we see you in a movie where you're now having to act like a hero, it's very difficult to take you seriously. And this is what I feel like this actor really did well, and what Quentin was just trying to show us. Like it was unbelievable to say, okay, this guy is the new sheriff of the city. Something is off here. All right. They continue to seek refuge from the blizzard, and Minnie's haberdasher. Greeting them is Bob, a Mexican who says Minnie is away and left him in charge. This also seemed a little bit shady, but anyway. The other lodgers are Deputy Sheriff Oswaldo Mowbray, Cowboy Joe Gage, and elderly Confederate General Sanford Smithers, who is planning to erect a cenotaph for his missing son. Suspicious, Ruth disarms all but Warren. Mannix surmises, and Warren concedes that the Lincoln letter is false. Warren responds to Ruth's disappointment by saying his forged letters buys him leeway while with White, something Ruth silently acknowledges he never would have given Warren without. Warren puts one of his guns next to Sanford and provokes him by claiming that he sexually assaulted and murdered Smithers' son, who he had tried to claim the bounty. When the enraged Smithers reaches for the gun, Warren kills him in revenge for ordering the slaughter of black prisoners of war at Baton Rouge. You know, I like the way that Quentin wrote this scene. Essentially what's happening is because these guys, they're bounty hunters, they're lawmakers, you couldn't killing someone out of a personal matter would just be seen as murder. And the way Samuel L. Jackson's character plays it so well is he gets this man to be angry, you know, which is something that's just the things that he was describing would be disgusting. Imagine someone telling you they had to do that to your son, freezing it, and the visualization, which I like, is like in your head you could see what he was talking about, and then you're like, oh man, I feel the pain. And then the old man is just like, I'm gonna shoot you, and then he's like, pa pa, self-defense. You know, it was pretty well written. Some coffee is brewed and laced with poison. Ruth and Jackson drink it, and Jackson dies, but Ruth lives long enough to attack Daisy, who then shoots him dead with his own gun. Warren disarms Domergue, leaving a shackle to Ruth's corpse, and holds the others at gunpoint. He is joined by Mannix, whom Warren trusts because he nearly drank the poison coffee. Examining the evidence and revealing Minnie's hatred of Mexicans, Warren deduces that Bob is lying and promptly executes him. When Warren threatens to kill Daisy, Gage admits he poisoned the coffee, and an unknown man hiding under the floorboards shoots Warren in the groin, leaving him unable to walk. Mowbray pulls the .32 pistol from his cot and shoots Mannix who returns fire and fatally wounds him. You know, when I was watching this part, like, call it a unexpected thing, right? Like we were not expecting to see Channing Tatum's character come out of the basement essentially, and then the way he just shoots him, you're like, whoa, where did that come from? And that was just a shock. And then you get taken back, like, oh, this is how this actually started, and then this is how the movie plot line is moving. And one thing I like about the storytelling structure is, until that point, you really didn't need to know where these guys had come from, because you sort of had an understanding of there's some shadiness happening here, which just goes on to show the brilliance of Quentin Tarantino and his crew in how they edited this and how they made the storyline, which for me just made it a beautiful experience. Like, I was like, yo, this is crazy. It's like essentially watching two movies in one, right? Because the first part is you've traveled with Samuel L. Jackson's character and the guys that came, and how we ended up in a situation where he's getting shot in the nuts. And then you have that whole, okay, now we're gonna go back to what actually happened. Who's Meanie? We get to meet Meanie, we get to meet all these people, and then you realize these are savages, like these are ruthless people within this. Like Oswald, man, it was, the thing is, like, the actions are really terrible, but from a storytelling point of view, I was like, yo, this is beautiful. A flashback shows Bob Mowbray Gage and Daisy's brother Jody arriving at the lodge hours earlier. They gun down Minnie, her two servants, and all but one of her customers. Smithers is spared when he agrees to stay silent while the group prepares to bring Daisy from Ruth's custody. The bodies are hastily thrown down the well outside. Once they finish cleaning the store, Jody hides in the cellar. In the present, Mannix and Warren both seriously wounded hold Daisy Gage and Mowbray at gunpoint. When they threaten to kill Daisy, Jody surrenders and is executed by Warren. The surviving gang members of the Mannix deal, they claim 15 hired guns are waiting in Red Rock in case the rescue attempt fails. If Mannix kills Warren, they will spare him and allow him to collect the bounty on the dying Mowbray and the deceased Bob. Warren shoots Mowbray dead, and he and Mannix then kill Gage. Warren tries to shoot Daisy but is out of bullets. He asks Mannix for his gun, but Mannix refuses, wanting Daisy out. After they deduce that Daisy lied about the hired guns, Mannix faints from blood loss. Warren watches helpless as Daisy frees herself by hacking off Ruth's arm. Before she can shoot Warren, Mannix regains consciousness and wounds her. As he aims for the killing shot, Warren persuades his ally to hang her in honor of Ruth, who was known as the Hangman, for always bringing in his bounties in alive to the gallows. The two wounded men succeed in hanging Daisy from the rafters as they lie dying. Mannix reads aloud Warren's fake Lincoln later, complimenting his attention to detail. You know, this part of the movie, like, for me, it just goes to show you how much I feel like Quentin Tarantino has fun creating his movies, and it's something that you take in as an audience. You're like, yo, like, it's terrible things that you're witnessing, but you are essentially also excited about what you're watching, right? And I'm watching this, I'm like, yo, this is ridiculous. First of all, when she tries to saw off his hand from her body, you're like, yo, this is messed up. And then these guys that keep killing each other, and then I'm like, you know, at the point where it then goes intense, it goes from funny to intense, because now you're really fearing for Samuel L. Jackson's character, like he's gonna get shot you know, by Daisy, and she's gonna escape. And then it's like the intensity and the build up to that, like, we're just waiting. Will this guy wake up? What's gonna happen? Is he gonna die? Like, this guy just murdered a lot of people. Why do I even feel bad for him? You know, everybody's dying in this whole thing. And then the guy wakes up, and then the craziest thing, I'm like, okay, this guy has been shot in the nuts. This guy literally cannot walk. How are they going to hang this lady? You know, but somehow they do it. That's the power of movie magic, right? The Lincoln data, for me, that was just a beautiful touch to it. You know, Quentin, the way he plays with history is something that, you know, you're like, yo, this guy. One of the key themes in The Hateful Eight is the idea of racial tension. Set just after the Civil War, the film explores the deep-seated racism that still existed in the United States at the time. This is exemplified in the character of Major Marquis Warren, a black former Union soldier who faces discrimination and hostility from the other characters. The film also explores the idea of power dynamics as the characters jostle for control and position within the confined space of the mini haberdashery. The tension between the characters builds through the film, leading to a dramatic and bloody climax. Tarantino's direction is also noteworthy, as he creates a sense of claustrophobia and unease through the use of close-ups and tight framing. The film score, composed by Ennio Morricone, adds to the tense atmosphere using a mix of traditional Western motifs and dissonant modern sounds. Overall, The Hateful Eight is a tense and suspenseful film that explores themes of racism, power dynamics, and deception. The performance of the cast are outstanding, and Tarantino's direction and use of cinematography and score add to the film's overall impact. It's a good example how a movie can be a good reflection of the social and historical context it was created in. I feel like this is one thing that Quentin has been able to do, is to create context and have people understand what he's going for. I think very few directors can make the type of movies that he makes and leave the impact that he does without creating a lot of like uproar. We live in the work days nowadays, so you gotta be very careful with what you do. But because he's able to contextualize and tell you, no, we are back at a certain period of time, this is how life worked, and then how can we modernize that and create an experience for you. Listening to his book as I'm doing these days, I'm realizing how much for him making movies is about creating an experience for the audience. And I feel like with The Hateful Eight, that's something that it gives you. It's said that at the end of the movie everybody dies, but that's just like, okay, okay, how else can you conclude such a beautiful movie, such a beautiful storyline? Such movies, you can see them not having a prequel, like not having anything. People say that it's a prequel to Django. By prequel, I'm assuming this means it comes before, but then oh yeah, but it might make sense because like Samuel L. Jackson's character in Django, he has a limp, right? He limps around, so maybe that's because he was shot in the shot in the crown jewels and stuff like that. But either way, my thoughts on this film, if you haven't watched it, I do recommend you go watch it. It's a good movie. It's a good escape from reality. It's something that you can take in and enjoy just for the joy of it. If you're someone who grew up watching westerns, I grew up on westerns. We used to watch a lot of movies by people like Jean-Claude Van Damme, people like what's his name, Seagull, like those type of movies. And this is something that just takes you into that realm, and it just reminds you of your youth, of your young days, like back in the 2000s. For us, those are the type of movies we were watching. But also it gives you that room to explore and get to know more of Quentin's work. Let me know which other Quentin Tarantino movie you guys would like me to review and check out. If you got some value out of this video, smash that subscribe button. If you want to see some of the reviews that I've done, I did one on Avatar, I did one on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. You can check them out. They should be popping up on your screen. I'll definitely be seeing you guys in the next one.